Well, good morning. It's pretty wet and horrible and rainy out there. I'm feeling kind of damp. I mean, I'm not sure if you can see that. It's probably too dark. Whatever. Anyway, let's get you onto a tripod so we can talk about this week a little bit. Let's go. That's probably all right. Are we wonky? I think we're probably a little bit wonky. Anyway, this is the first proper week of this quarter. I think last week was the false start. So this is all about planning out the next 11 weeks. I'm also starting a job this week, in fact, in a few hours. So that's going to be a little bit interesting. So I thought I would talk about planning and what I'm doing. I'm going to apologize. This video is going to be quite front loaded. There's going to be a lot of Monday in this Weeknotes video because most of the planning is happening today. There are several things I want to get done this quarter and I'll talk about them in a tick. The first one though is I've had this idea for an art project called The Sea Howls From Below. You might have seen me mention it. And so far really all it is that title and a vibe, and that vibe is a bleak Welsh coastland with the ocean and crashing waves and like fog and grey and stillness and all of those type of things that I really love about winter. And I want to take the opportunity to explore this vibe and this concept across several pen plots of various sizes, and then also finishing with a zine that I'll probably do in the next quarter, and maybe a small little show here in Shrewsbury. This is a slightly different approach for me because I'm often just trying out lots of different ideas on lots of different pen plotters, so to pick one topic to do for the next 3 months I think will be kind of fun, and I'm going to try to document that too. But for the moment I'm a little bit cold, so let's go make myself a hot drink before we talk about the next thing. Right, let's turn you around. Can we do that? Okay, good. So, I'm in the studio. It's all kind of sorted out now, apart from a printer that's going to go over there, which is still going to take a few weeks before it arrives. A friend suggested that I do a new tour of the studio, like a studio tour 2025, which I think is a good idea, but you lot have already seen most of what goes on here. So I thought I'd reframe it slightly, and taking inspiration from Tom Sachs' 10 Bullets, which is a set of rules he has for his studio, and also his zine for his car that he decided to make, an instruction manual for that. I thought I'd take a different approach instead and make 10 rules, make an operating manual for Dan Catt's studio that has 10 rules in it. It isn't a rehashing of the 10 Bullets from Tom Sachs. I'm taking a slightly different approach, but I thought if I make a zine about it, then at the end I can make a video where I'll make a video of 10 rules for operating Dan Catt's studio, and that would be a different way of showing what happens in the studio because it has a little bit more thinking behind the operating functions of the spaces. Anyway, I thought about that for two reasons. One is I want to make a zine for The Sea Howls From the West, and I kind of want to have a dry run at making zines for that so I can get all the mistakes out of the way. Not all of them, that was optimistic. So I can get a whole bunch of mistakes out of the way making a zine that doesn't really matter, the instruction manual for this studio. So this will be a dry run for that, and then once I finish that zine I can then record a video about those rules and then show you around the studio, but through that lens, basically. So those are two things that are happening this quarter: the Sea Howls From Below art project and making that zine. But during the process of that zine, I had a sudden condensation, realization, focus on one of the things that has been going through my head anyway, and the act of writing it down made it slowly manifest. So I'm going to do that over here and show you because it's due to planning. So, first week of a quarter is normally planning everything out, and then Monday is planning everything for the week. I haven't been doing that for the past couple of quarters because everything is up in the air, so we're back to it now. And as you know, I love index cards. I do all my planning with index cards. So this is what we're going to do. Now, there's lots of things that I want to do. I want to get the shop online. I want to do various pen plots and prints. There's the follow-up to the 80s pop project. There's the 90s pop project. There's my handwriting stuff. There's blogging, newsletters, all sorts of things. Lots of stuff I want to do, but I'm also starting work today that's not quite a 9 to 5, but it's going to take up a big chunk of my time. So it's very important that I'm planning things out. And this is where the rule comes from the Zine, which is the 5-4-3 rule. I'll explain that, well, right now, I guess. It goes like this, and there is an important component to this, which I will explain. Each quarter, I'm going to pick 5 things to do. Then at the start of each week, I will pick 4 of those things to do. And then each day, I'm going to be picking 3 out of those 4 things to do. I'm going to put it on cards, it'll make it easier to explain. Hold on. Right, so we've already got, here's the 5 things. Work, obviously, the sea howls from the west, generative handwriting, writing a blog or making a video, making videos in general, but not including the tutorials for reasons I'll explain in another day, and the studio zine rules for operating the studio. Those are my 5 things. So I've already decided I'm not doing the shop. I'm not doing 90s pop, I'm not doing 80s pop, I'm not doing prints or NFTs, those type of things. Choosing not to do the shop in this next 3 months, even though I need to get my shop online, I've decided just to let that go and not do it because I don't have time to do everything. And previously I was trying to do everything. So that's the important part, is choosing what not to do. So this week, from those 5 things, I'm going to do work, see house and below, making videos, and the studio zine. I'm not going to work on the generative handwriting, the blog, or the video. For the whole week, I don't need to worry about that. And today, definitely have to do work, because work always happens. Making videos and the sea house in the west. I'm going to choose not to work on the studio zine today. Just 3 things a day. And this comes from a rule that you should only have 3 things on your to-do list a day. So we're working backwards to have these other things. However, because it's my first day of work, I'm also not going to do the sea house from the west today, just work and making videos. And what I'm going to do for the rest of this morning, once I've finished making this video, is I'm going to work out which 3 things I'm doing each day, or to switch that around, which one thing I'm not doing each day. And then at the start of each week, I'm going to work out which thing I'm not doing that week. So next week I might not do the studio zine, I might do the generative handwriting. And this is because I know I want to do everything. I want to do everything, and I think I've got to get the shop, I've got to make this, I've got to do these prints, I've got to do all these things. So by doing this 5-4-3 rule, I'm giving myself permission to not do things and be okay with that. So that's what that rule is. I think that was rule number 7 in my notes that I wrote down for functioning in the studio. I don't know, I'll have to look at my notes for that. So that's what I'm going to do now. Let me grab you. I'm going to go finish off my planning for the rest of the week, and then possibly the next 11 weeks. I think what I like about this is because I know I'm only doing 5 things in the quarter, I don't need to plan out the whole quarter and which thing I'm not going to do each week. Anyway, you get the idea. I'm going to get on. Sorry that was a bit of a long rambling introduction to Monday, but this is the first proper planning Monday of the whole quarter, so this is kind of what happens. Right, I'm going to get on and I'm going to drink my still warm drink. We don't talk about what this drink is. Okay.
Oh hey, it's Tuesday, and there wasn't a video today apart from this because yesterday's was so long, but I wanted to test this out because it's new and it should all right, so this is let me show you, hold on. So I don't know if I'm going to be able to get the audio to sync up between this camera and this camera over here, because they're running at 2 slightly different frame rates. So this is the Pocket Osmo 3, and obviously this is the Sony over here. And I figured I'll get this one because it tracks my face, although that is kind of cool, but because it might be able to track a pen plotter and do time lapses, freeing up these cameras to do other things. But I just want to make sure it works and that I can color grade it. So either this is going to look awful, or it's going to be fine, or the audio will be awful, or it'll be fine. But we're going to see if we can have fun with this. Meanwhile, today I need to figure out what I'm doing. So up here, I've got yesterday was work, making videos, and the sea howls from the west. I'm going to not do that, and I'm going to do the studio zine instead, or at least work on it a little bit. So that is my plan for today, and we'll figure out on Friday how well this footage worked.
It's 6:30 in the morning and it's fair to say it's fucking freezing out here. So let's get into the studio. Today I'm going to be doing some more zine stuff, which I'll show you in a second. And then my work. I'll talk about that tomorrow, I think. Right. Brr, it's cold. Oh shit, that's cold. It's Wednesday and I'm gonna stick all these together. Just gonna use a little bit of tape here so that I can make changes if I need to. And hopefully I'll get more of a sense of this is working or not. There's a thing I've forgotten, but I'll come to that in a tick. So let me do some taping. So this means I think it works. So I've got my cover, and then this is kind of hard to do. These are the rules of the studio. Rule 1, rule 2, and then rule 3, 4, and so on. And then I've got the centerfold in the middle there, and then we get on to rule 8, which is a little bit of a weird one because I'm going to extend it out. This is going to be a fold out page that folds out 1, 2, 3. We get to there, and then the other one's on the back. So let's do that now. So that's done. So here it's closed. I'm reading through it. I get to the centerfold. Then I turn the page. Rule 7, and then this. We flip open once. We flip open twice. There we go. So rule 8. Shipping, plotting, thinking, and then on the back, working, doing, and then all these secondary zones. So that should fold in like so. I've had to trim these pages down a little bit so they tuck inside, but we'll do that. So I think we're good. Today, pretty much the same as yesterday, only, unbelievably, it's colder. Well, hey there. Howdy. YouTube tells me that this is the new style of vlogging, and I apologise for the sound still being a bit punchy. Haven't sorted that out yet. People might say, if I ever invite them over to the studio, "Hey Dan, how do you work in such a cold studio? Does that suck?" And the answer is, yeah, but there's a couple of things. So the first is, and I'm going to use this very professionally drawn diagram, which I'm sure Editor Me will put in, you have the 3 triangle classic point thing, where in one point you have affordability, on another you have temperature, and on a third you have size. So my first studio was too big and too cold, but it was cheap. My second studio was too small and too cold and kind of expensive. My third studio was really expensive, warm, but not big enough. This studio is affordable, it is big enough, but there is no heating. So, how are you keeping warm? Well, let me show you. It's quite technical. Trying not to be all sciencey about it, but this is me here, the artist with my short legs. And what I'm doing to stay warm is a constant supply of hot liquid going in. Constant hot drinks. That is going into a thermal process, and then there's a constant supply of cold liquid coming back out. Constant. And that is how I am staying warm in the studio. There is one more thing though. There's also a supply of fat that I am, I guess, technically using up and breathing out. And that, my dear friends, is how a professional artist survives in a sub 4 degrees Celsius studio. And for more insights on being a professional artist like this, subscribe to my newsletter, link down below. Now, I've got to go write a newsletter. Well, it's Friday. Alright, because I'm not a complete idiot, and where are the light switches here? Because even I, a professional artist, can only pee so much in a day. I mean, even an amateur artist can only pee so much in a day. I'm here in the co-working space, just down the road here in Shrewsbury, where I'm going to be nice and toasty and warm while I do laptop work. So you don't need to worry about me. I'm alright. I am sensible. Yesterday was just a little bit too cold. I'm going to get settled in here and edit the Weeknotes video, so this will probably do it for the moment. I've got a feeling it's kind of long already, so let's call it a day now. I'm going to settle in here. I hope you all have a lovely weekend, and I will see you next week when I'm down in London, I think. Okay, I love you all. I will see you soon. Goodbye.